All right. It's the Live Drive Jive Archive with your host, Frank Monday. Greetings, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. It's the 25th, 26th of September, 2021, year of the Metal Ox. We are in the month of Libra. Yeah, we're in Libra. The moon is in, I'm gonna say, Gemini. What comes after Gemini? Air, earth, air, water, and fire. So air to water. After Gemini is Cancer. Is that right? Man, I gotta get in there and relearn all the placements of the clock face so that I can stay dialed in. Last night in Dreamland was some happy horse shit, man. Armies were on the march, giving out free t-shirts with propaganda on them. There was just a ton of happy horse shit going on. Fun times. Not going to talk about it all right now because it just doesn't necessarily apply to each and every individual out there in Happy Land. I hope you are doing well. We are broadcasting from the Central Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon here in Peking, Old Peking, where Hunter Biden flew in last week on Air Force Two. Hunter Biden, smoking his crack pipe, flew in under the direction of Beijing Biden, chairman of the disassembled once great United States of America, now occupied territory under a false regime controlled by a foreign state. Sad. Reading a lot of Thomas Jefferson over the weekend, the Federalist Papers, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights. Thomas, he was a deist and a mystic, but he was a more practical type, a little aesthetic in his nature. Ascetic, not aesthetic, ascetic. So ASC rather than ATH. But he was tempered by old good Benny boy, Benjamin Franklin. Seems like Benjamin Franklin's middle name was Benjamin Franklin. Seems like it's something with a B, like Bartholomew or something. I can't remember. Funny how you don't remember their middle names. Sometimes they don't even put the middle initial on quotes and papers and stuff. I mean, your name changes depending on who you're addressing, and the many hats of the wanderer, the wayfarer. Not all who wander are lost, right? As they say. We have a beautiful Lovecraftian morning. It is overcast and foggy with moist surfaces everywhere. And this dude, come on, man. You can't maintain a single lane? What's up, bro? Fuck. If you're not gonna get it, then get on out the way. Saw a good quote the other day. It said, "Those who say it can't be done shouldn't interfere with those who are getting it done." And that brings me to a topic of a little bit of irritation over the weekend. I was watching one of Tattooed Monkey's live streams, which I shouldn't, because sometimes he's such an asshat. Anyway, Tattooed Monkey, if you want to check him out, his YouTube channel name, I don't know, you could probably look up Tattooed Monkey. he's got some good ideas in this direction or that direction, but his YouTube channel is actually called like Theodora Asphyx. I can't remember. I'll try to look it up later and put it down in the description. Anyway, I got into a heated debate with him because he was calling out a guy like Louis Rossmann. I don't know if you guys keep up with the right to repair issue that went through Congress the last couple of years, and supposedly Beijing Biden signed a executive order concerning right to repair. The situation is this. Folks believe that they should have the right to access the small component proprietary parts in things that they purchase. So say, for example, I purchased this iPhone, I should also be able, and say Apple puts a bad resistor on the motherboard, like a 50-cent resistor or something, or even less. Like a totally small part that would be easier to replace for someone with the tech knowledge. And as a result, my phone doesn't operate, or my laptop. It's mostly laptops that they concern, because that's where most of the repair gets done. But then, like, it's $1,000 motherboard, and it's got a 25-cent component that goes out. And so I take it to the Apple shop, and they're like, well, we're gonna have to replace the entire motherboard. And so Rossmann's big argument is he's a third-party repair guy, and he wants to repair those boards, so he wants the schematics should be available online, and then he should be able to purchase that, 15-cent, 25-cent, $2, $5, whatever component to repair that board and save the customer. Rather than charging the customer $1,000, he could do it for $50 and just replace the single component, because he knows the boards. The people he trains knows the boards really well, and they do this kind of thing all day long. But companies like Apple, Samsung, John Deere Tractor, they block third-party repairs from doing repairs because they want that business themselves, and they want to sell the customer an entirely new product, or a huge upgrade, and make a ton of money rather than a little money. And the argument is that those big corporations won't do component level repairs on motherboards and stuff like that, because it takes too much time to train people to learn how to troubleshoot them, and it's just more profitable for them to sell you an upgraded to replace the whole thing, even if it's under warranty. And the main argument for third-party people is that's their bread and butter. They can do this and save the customer money, and save the industry money, and save the waste. And so Tattooed Monkey's whole argument is that, the big tech companies, they build products that are better. Like Apple's laptops last 3, 4, 5 times as long as other people's laptops, and they have a right to protect their right to repair, and you shouldn't be able to repair it. But he says, anybody can repair their own things if you've got the knowledge and the parts. And he's missing the main point of the whole argument, is that they do not allow you to get the parts. And nobody's going to try. 90% of the folks out there don't have the tech knowledge, and they're not going to try to repair their own board. They're going to take it to someone like Louis Rossmann. And he's saying that Rossmann is lying, that there's some grand conspiracy by these third-party mom and pops, little guy repair shops, and that they're lying to the public. And I just don't believe that he studied the issue at hand. There were about 5 people that supported the idea that Tattooed Monkey is vilifying people like Rossmann, and he hasn't looked deep enough into it, and that his knowledge is outdated. And he just became stubbornly hostile and fought with everyone, calling anyone who opposed his opinion an idiot. So my main gripe with Tattooed Monkey, Ken, if you're out there in Happy Land and anybody hears this or it connects with you in any way, my main argument with you is that you're stubbornly hostile and will not accept admonition, even though your opinion in this situation is pig-headed and wrong. And he starts off his videos with, catchphrases like, I represent truth and I stand for facts, logic, and wisdom. And if you are also an enlightened person of facts, logic, and wisdom, then you'll agree with what I'm about to say. And he's full of shit in this particular instance. A lot of times I do kind of jive with what he's got to say, even though a lot of the shit he talks about I don't even understand, and I try to get educated on the topics. But my main point with him was, this is a topic that I've actually spent hundreds of hours looking into. I've watched Rossman's videos and other people's videos like him, a lot of them, and I've watched Rossman work, and I've already, I'm not saying I've already made up my own mind, but I've got a lot of background because I had problems with my Apple product, which is fair enough. I used it for like 6 years, and then some water spilled into the case, and it affected the motherboard. It was an old. It was one of their. It was the first series of MacBooks, first or second. It was the one they called the little black MacBook, plastic case. They had a black one and a white one. I used that motherfucker for 6-7 years before it finally kicked the bucket. But I pulled the motherboard out of it, and I wanted to look at it, and I wanted to save my data, so I pulled the hard drive off, and I cleaned off the motherboard, and I tried to put it all back together and get it to work, but it was fried, and it had a whole series of components that had burnt out when that water got on the board. But so I started looking into it, and I thought, well, if my next computer, I want to learn about how to fix it, even if I don't fuck it up, even if it's not broken, I'd like to learn how to fix it so that I know what to look out for and what to try to avoid and what are the most common problems. And so I sat down, and I think it was during, it was prior to the Invisible Boogeyman being released by Fauci and the Wuhan labs. It was prior to that. So I spent a great deal of time prior to that in my free time watching those videos and looking at schematics and, looking at my own board and shit like that. And then during the great global elite lockdown of, let's strangle the fucking plebes and really get them in a situation where we can bully them like they're doing in Australia, that's when I watched hundreds of hours of videos by Rossman and others. Rossman sticks out the most because he has a lot of people would say he's an asshole and that he has a personality that is not likable, but he's a man's man. He's got that toxic masculinity, supposedly, that appeals to other toxic males. And so, yeah, it's a whole fucking testosterone love fest when you're watching Rossman. He calls it like it is, and he doesn't pull any fucking punches. And so that's why, that's part of the reason I like Rossman. But he goes through all that shit over and over and over and over again, like how if the backlight's out, they'll try to sell you a new motherboard, and if this is out or the other thing is out, and it's like a 10-cent fucking component made in China, but they're locking it down with proprietary software now, that even if you get the right component from another machine that it's still good on, they're making it impossible for you to repair your own products. And that's the main argument. And he's lobbied Congress, and Like I said, I've watched hundreds of hours of his videos, so I followed the man over the development of his career, and from when he was working in a little fucking sweatshop closet repairing boards to his first his own shop there. I think he was in New York or Jersey or something, Manhattan. It seems like he was in New York. To his going around and looking at all the real estate and relocating to a new shop and then moving out to the suburbs and, you know, growing his family and so on and so forth. So I've been along for the ride. And when I hear a guy like Tattooed Monkey talk about it, number one, I could tell that he doesn't have much experience. He claims that he's a fucking expert on board repair, but his dissertation on the subject is greatly lacking. He does not have the expertise, and that shines through. Whenever someone's talking about a subject that they don't have much expertise on, you can see it. He mentions a few parts. He mentions a few of the components and stuff. It'd be like if I did a dissertation on computers with my high school knowledge from the, you know, the late 80s, early 90s. When I had it all figured out back then, I studied computers up and down. I tore them apart, looked into their power systems. They were fairly simple and easy. The components haven't changed much. I mean, they've changed in the nature of what they're everything's been miniaturized and they're more advanced and so on and so forth, but the basic functions are still labeled the same. They have the same basic setups. The boards are far more advanced. I've opened my current MacBook is about how many years now? It's going on 5 years as well. And I've been thinking about upgrades. In fact, last night I dreamt that I had an upgraded, the system was all the same and everything was a little shinier and more advanced. But I went to grab my MacBook in Dreamland where I had left it, and it was all brand new. Like, I could describe it to you, but I put it into my journal. So I've seen the future. Point being, he comes off like a kindergartner on the subject and claims to be an expert, which he is not. And then by saying that, he tries to give himself credibility to vilify people like Rossman, who are true experts in the field. And it pissed me off, and so I called him out on it. And then he literally ran around the video acting like a fucking 2-year-old, copying and pasting the same derogatory comments to anybody who dared oppose him. And so I'll link the video in the description because I think it's worthwhile to call people out. And it's like, if you're going to behave like that on one thing, then what about the subjects where you truly do have knowledge, or where I think you have knowledge? Because I have little to no knowledge, and I've been listening to you thinking, you know, okay, yeah, this guy's, he knows what he's talking about, this, that, or the other thing. And then it turns out when it's something you truly are nearly ignorant on, you also claim authority. That makes me really suspicious of your character. And so you got to watch people for a number of vids. Not even a number of vids. Like it's been a couple of years I've been watching the Tattooed Monkey, Ken, and he's, that little bit of suspiciousness on his character has cropped its head up a few times in the past. And so it's making me doubt the validity of just about anything he says anymore. There you have it. So I thought I would share that with you. That happens from time to time. Like, I've been watching DJ for a few years now, and I love him to death, but he supports a gal like Gigi Young, and I got over and thought, you know, I gave her a shake. I figure I'd give her a good shake because DJ said she was great and doing great work. And I got over there and watched a few of her videos, and oh my God, the miasma and the BS she's fucking spinning from just off the cuff, just out of nowhere, seemed at face value so dubious to me. But you got to dig a little deeper, you know. You can't write people off so easily. And so I've given her a second chance, and I've tried to let her grow on me, but you know, you don't have time for all of it. And so you got to pick and choose. She's no authority on anything, really. She's one of those guru types of hypnotherapists, and she has a couple of induction and NLP techniques up her sleeve, and then spins a fantastical yarn of times of old and tries to expound on Blavatsky and this, that, and the other thing. She's of the vril nature of, I'm a beautiful, good-looking woman, and I've grown my hair long, and I can flash my eyes and, you know, read you bedtime stories, which is great. You know, I like Apollo Asteria. She's my Gigi Young. I haven't been even able to watch Apollo because you just get busy with life. You know, like I said, I put in 80 hours a week plus on my own career, and then I just do these live drive drives. And I remind you, you are watching the Live Drive Drive Archive with your host Frank Monday. We have arrived at Plum Blossom Lane. I tried to get out here the other day and shoot a little video on this place and like to put together a documentary. And I thought about where I could try to find some background history about this little lane and the cemetery next to it that I had intuited was here, because it's got that feeling. I want to say creepy feeling, but the feeling of cemeteries has never been creepy to me. It's always had a kind of allure, that necromantic allure of the transformation of life and the impending sleep of the Stygian sea that we all look forward to. Yeah, so better to get busy with your own work rather than criticizing others. But I wanted to put that caveat out there, that warning out there, and to express my my frustration with him. But like I was talking about in my last video, frustration, annoyance, and suffering, hard work, all of those things lead you to greater and greater truths. Who was it that I was looking into recently that described it quite eloquently? The layers of the spiritual realms and the heavens that surround us. It was actually a Hindu guy. I've never read much Hindu literature at all because I had my head so far deep in the first part of my life. My head was so far into the Western esoteric tradition from 15th century manuscripts looking for magical secrets and codexes and so on and so forth, like a young Da Vinci or Edward Kelly or John Dee. And then that led me to Chinese Taoism and Eastern mysticism, and I, put myself through a regimen of Qigong and Kung Fu and Chinese magic for over 2 decades, nearly 3 decades of that material, two solid decades of that material. Lao Tzu, Chuangzi, Sun Tzu, Ge Hong, so on and so forth, all the greats of the Chinese stuff, and then Gao An and Yang Mingjing, so on and so forth. And then that led me back to Kabbalah. Where had this line of thinking just gone? The problem is my windows started fogging up, and I'm on Plum Blossom Lane, where these motherfuckers, they don't realize the spiritual nature of this location, and so they get distracted by the hungry ghosts, and they wind up joining them. Like I said, car accidents happen here all the time. Where was I? Suffering and truth, and some hungry ghost pulled away my idea. Oh yeah, point being that you need to do your own work. Frater Marlowe reminds me of that in his missives. And if you do have an interesting message or story, like I remind you in the past, send it my way. Grab my email. I got a Gmail account that I check from time to time. You can grab that off of the About section of my webpage here. I haven't responded to some of the emails in there because I've, just been busy with work and stuff. So I have arrived at the yard, and wow, it's almost 7. Damn, and this video has gone 25 minutes. I got a little bit of a late start today, but I am safely here. So, knock on wood, almost. I love y'all good-looking, sexy people out in Happy Land. Let us pray. Lord of the universe, represented by the Tetragrammaton, or the 4-5 elements, fourfold elements, and the 5th element of the ether, the spirit, interpenetrating and activating them all, the 3 core mother letters and their transformations via the plasma. May we be a conduit of thou great message of, I don't know, what is the great message these days? For the Australians, it's resistance, and it looks like it's going to have to be American-style Declaration of Independence. You're going to have to throw off the fetters of a perverse and sick Nazi regime government that's attempting to enslave you. I support you guys, the orange vests or yellow vests or whatever, spiritually out there in Australia. Don't stand up for that shit, man. Get together arm in arm with your brothers. And everyone always says non-violent resistance and protest shit. Fuck that, man. Don't leave the house without a goddamn spear and a shield. Form your own brigades of security forces for your protests. If they're gonna send in private militia, not even militia, mercenary groups to beat up 70-year-old women and shit, 'tis the rising of the moon, beloved brothers and sisters, Harami boys for freedom. Don't stand alone, and don't separate from the group. Spearmen, you need regiments of spearmen and slingmen or whatever. And someone chimed in the other day and told me, yeah, you can't confront them openly in the street. And I agree, but at the same time, you need to be organized about it and absolutely do not roll over on your fucking back and be a pussy. Wow, that dude's got an aggressive, aggro attitude about that. This is a school zone right here. You can't drive around all aggro and aggressive. What if a little kid walks into the street or something? I hate that happy horse shit when people do that. But anyway, what are you gonna do? Yeah, I don't know what to fucking say about that, man. If seeing that shit on TV and in the tubes and stuff, and then hearing the rhetoric of your guys' mouthpiece media vilifying and maligning you guys, when it's those everybody knows what's going on in Australia at this point. Everyone knows what's going on in the United States at this point. The cards they showed their hand. I mean, do what you gotta do. Fuck them. That's why they try to cut everyone off from family and made everything so miasmic and asinine, Oh, wear lipstick and heels, boys. It's time to go clubbing. They didn't want people out there, training with their muskets and singing the songs of their ancestors and moshing with the horned gods and shit. They wanted everybody in a state of sedated, hypnotic servitude. It's BS. Anyway. Protect and guide us through the innumerable snares of the material sphere that are just polluted with endless human opinion. So it is commanded and confirmed, so mote it be. And y'all good looking, sexy people, stay well out in Happy Land. I will see you next time. Bye for now.